What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another podcast here on the Blackwater channel. Today's episode is brought to you by none other than the Jancy Jet Wilson. Jancy Jet Wilson is the head guide of Blackwater Guide Service, and he makes my life extremely easy. I shouldn't say extremely easy, much easier than it is without having him around. He is one of the best in the business. He does a fantastic job for us, and the clients all love him. Great friend, great employee, heck of a dude. If you ever get a chance to come hunt with us, I hope that you get to meet Jancy Jet and be guided by him, because you will definitely enjoy your experience. And for me, placing him as the sponsor of this video, since he hasn't put up any money to do that, I will require that Jancy Jet let me shoot or catch the first game on the next hunting or fishing trip he and I go on together. So that's his payment for being the sponsor on this video and getting his plug out there in front of, possibly 150 people that might watch this episode. Anyways, enough with our head guide sponsorship. The topic of today's podcast is shoot or pass. That's the age-old question. I shouldn't say age-old, but it is getting age-old. Facebook's been around for a while now. But the age-old question on social media, Facebook, Instagram mainly, you see those on. It's almost to the point of disgust nowadays. It reminds me, not that this reminds me of disgust, but it reminds me of like the WWJD bracelets from back in the day, like what would Jesus do? That's what I think about every time I see a picture that gets posted online of a whitetail buck during this time of the year on Facebook, because it is inevitable that 80% of them, when you see the picture of the deer, you look up at the caption says, should I shoot or should I pass? It's either that or what do y'all think this scores? Which both of those questions drive me absolutely crazy. So nowadays, I'm pretty much just scrolling through. I don't even read the captions anymore. If I see a big buck and I think it's a pretty deer, I'll click the like button. If it doesn't, grab my interest, then I just keep on scrolling through to the next one. But shoot or pass, that's the topic. It's kind of a crazy topic because I have my own opinions on this, and I believe that, the bottom line answer to it, in all reality, the cut and dry answer to it is do whatever you want to. That's kind of the simplistic answer of it, but I guess we'll break into it a little bit deeper, since, this, if I stopped it here, it would only be 2 minutes and 40 seconds of a video. But, that's really the cut and dry of it. So to get into more depth on it, shoot or pass, what does that mean to me? Why does that bug me so bad? And this is my answer. For starters, shoot or pass bugs me so bad because if you are a hunter, there should be a connection between you and nature. As goofy as that sounds, there should be. And if you're a real hunter, you know what I'm talking about. You get out there, you see people post all the time, like pictures of them in their tree stand or in a blind or walk around on a hillside, and they'll say, this is my church. I get the feeling that they are, that they're presenting or the point they're trying to put across, by saying that. It's because that's one of the few places in life, in people's lives or in hunters' lives, that they're at peace. They feel something different while they're in nature than they do when they're in the everyday hustle and bustle of normal work life or normal home life. And so that's the feeling I'm talking about, so that you guys can register that. Not trying to throw some nerdy, weird, be at one with nature, Luke Skywalker type thing out there to you guys. I just want y'all to pick up what I'm putting down, I guess, and understand where I'm coming from. It's the feeling, when I'm saying being at one with nature, it's the feeling you get, the same feeling these people are posting about, this is my church. It's the feeling you get while you are out there in nature and you have that peace about you that you don't normally have in your everyday life. So if you're out there, you get that feeling, one, that's great. Now you know you're at least a hunter, right? You've got that connection with the woods that other people don't have. Non-hunters do not have that connection. So when I'm personally sitting in a tree stand or a ground blind or walking around doing spot and stalk, and I have an animal cross my path, whether it's a buck, whether it's a doe, I don't care what it is, I don't have the should I shoot or should I pass that thought process in my head. As a hunter, with the connection that I'm experiencing with the woods, if it steps out in front of me, one, it's always dependent on where I'm at. You know, I hunt a lot of different places I go to with different goals in mind. Okay. And so that's obviously what, you know, your preparation for the hunt, you know, you'll determine that if you're going to, I've got a Colorado elk hunt coming up. Okay. Let's say that my goal when I get there is to shoot a nice bull. All right. And this wouldn't even be legal if I did this, so ignore the legalities of this next step, but I'm just using this for reference purposes. But if my goal going there was to do all this scouting to shoot a nice bull, I'm not going to go out there and whack the first cow that I see in my hunt. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about preparation. Wherever you're hunting at, you should have some form of goal in mind, and I mean that by saying, is it, you know, is it a goal to get meat? Is it a goal to shoot a nice trophy? Is it a goal to go after a specific buck you've been watching? You know, what is the goal? And so that should be first and foremost in your mind. But when I'm out there, when I see an animal cross my path, it's not a situation of should I shoot or should I pass. 9 times out of 10, personally, something crosses my path and I have that instant connection of I'm going to kill that animal. That's what I'm here for. Or I'm going to let it walk on and continue on living. But it's not a should I shoot or pass to the extent of should I take a picture of this and put it on Facebook and let my friends or acquaintances, I mean, there's a lot of people, I mean, most people got 5,000 friends on Facebook and 4 friends in real life. So should I let the people that are on the same Facebook groups that I have determine if I should shoot or pass this deer? And my harsh opinion of that is that if you have to ask that question, you might not be a hunter. You might not label yourself a hunter and return to the roots of gathering, because that is not, you've taken away the connection of a hunter and the peace of being in the woods and the entire lineage of going to the woods, taking your rifle or taking your bow and killing an animal to bring back for sustenance and the story and the trophy and the whole 9 yards of that. Okay, when it comes down to I've got to ask permission if this one is good enough or not, then you've taken the actual hunting portion, the connection of the hunting portion between you and nature completely out of that. Now you're allowing somebody else to make decisions for you, and I don't think you should ever do that in any portion of your life. So, you know, the long and short of it is to make your own decisions. But my biggest point is that it should be a connection between you and that animal where inside you're saying, here's the animal, I'm going to kill it, this was my goal. Okay, now have your goals right. All right, because let's say like the lease I got on in Oklahoma this year, I've been watching for 4 months now. I've been feeding Megalo on this place, and I've been watching this one just toad of an 8-point eating on the Megalo. Any chance I get to go hunt in Oklahoma, I will sit in that blind where I've seen this deer, and I will wait until I have an opportunity at that deer. I have no desire. I could have, last opening weekend when I was up there, I could have shot 50 doe and I could have shot 4 or 5, different bucks, younger. One of them was actually a mature, like, cold type buck. But that wasn't my goal for that hunt. So when those deer came out, not one time, did I get that I'm going to kill that deer instinct, because that wasn't my goal. My goal for that hunt was, this is the buck I'm after, this is the story that I'm after, and this is what I'm going to do. And if it doesn't happen, I'm perfectly okay with that. If it does happen, then boom, I've concluded that journey on that piece of property and got out of it what I wanted to get out of it. don't care what any of my friends thought of the deer. You know, I could show that deer to 100 people, and I promise you half of them would say, that's an awesome buck, man, and the other half would be like, yeah, I don't know, he's not real good. And who cares? That's why I don't, really get into that portion of it, because I don't care what somebody else thinks of that particular deer. I care about the story and the connection I have with that story and me being able to harvest that deer that I've built the story with. Now, if I go, let's say somewhere out in the hill country and I'm trying to meat hunt as my goal, then I'm going out there, and the first young doe that I can find, I'm taking her out, because it's proven that, young animals are more tender than older animals, and therefore, I'm going to go take the first young doe that I can find. I'm going to take her out. I'm going to bring her back and, do a little dry age process, and later on I'm going to have a fantastic meal for me and my family. And that's the goal there, and I don't need to ask anybody's permission on, is this doe old enough to shoot or not? Because my goal is to get something tender, and I know that the younger they are, the more tender they are. I'm not saying I'm going to go out there and shoot one with spots, but you get my point. I'm going to go whack a yearling, and I'm going to bring it back, and I'm going to eat fantastic deer meat. And that was my goal of that hunt. Now, I also believe that it depends on the area you're in. So a lot of the guys that are posting these pictures, right? Let's say that a guy is in Llano, Texas, and he posts a picture, and he's asking shoot or pass. Okay? You're going to have people from all over the state, some people from out of state. A low percentage of the people that are looking at that are going to know what size deer are in that area that you're at. And when I say what size, I'm talking about body weight, height, normal antler size. It's going to be extremely tough for a lot of those people to age those deer. It's going to be extremely, extremely tough for a lot of those people to score those deer. And it is none of their business, unless they own the land and have put stipulations on you, to tell you whether you should or should not shoot that deer. It's 100% your business. If that's the deer that you want to shoot, and that deer makes you happy, and that deer completes your story, and you have a connection of that deer stepping out and you killing that deer, then that's the deer you need to shoot. If the deer doesn't do for you what concludes your story and doesn't give you the fire that, hey, I need to take that deer, then you should pass that deer. Because I'm a firm believer that there is no sense killing stuff just to kill stuff. Right? I mean, I won't, if I caught a spider in my house, I would put it on a piece of paper and take it outside and let it go back in the grass before I squished it, because I have no reason to kill the spider. Same with snakes. My wife can't stand me messing with snakes, but I have no desire to kill a snake just to kill a snake. Now, if I'm going to make me a little bit of rattlesnake chicken salad, then I will sure enough chop that dude up and boil him down and make me a little chicken salad out of a rattlesnake. But if I have no means of preserving it and getting it back to cook it, and I'm just out in the middle of nowhere, I have no desire to kill that snake. And I will either walk around him, or if he's a little antsy, I'll pick him up and move him off somewhere else and hope that he continues about his business in nature and doesn't cause any problems with another human. And people do have said stuff to me about that before, that I could have killed him and he might not bite somebody else. But I mean, that's just, once again, that's somebody else's opinion affecting the way that I live life or I do my hunting. And that is something you can't allow to happen. So when it comes to shoot or pass on social media, you should take the time to ask yourself the question before even posting the picture. Post the picture by all means. I love looking at the pictures. Post a picture with a caption of something along the lines of, nice buck I got a picture of today, or I don't even care, you know what I mean, if it's, how old do you think this buck is? I honestly don't mind the scoring, what's this buck score pictures, although I don't think anybody really ever gets anything out of it, because you get numbers from really low to really high and all in between, and it's, there's a few people on there that are from that area and probably can hit the nail on the head with what that deer scores, and there's other people that are all over the state and they won't come anywhere close to what that deer scores. But I don't mind those, because you're not asking somebody to give you permission to hunt a deer. The shooter pass is such a sore subject. And I think people ought to think long and hard before asking that question, because you don't even have to think long, and you really don't have to think hard. You can walk yourself through that so quickly by looking at the deer and initially in your head asking yourself, is this what I want out of this hunt? Is that deer going to give me what I want from my hunting experience? Is it a trophy to me? Is it a mature buck in my area? Am I gonna do something well with the meat? Is it just something I want to hang on my wall? Whatever your stipulation is for hunting, does that animal fit your criteria for being something you would like to kill? And if it does, kill it and post a picture of it later and be happy with what you got. But don't allow other people to determine your hunting experience by telling you whether you should or should not shoot that deer, and then afterwards having to deal with the backlash of, you possibly being happy, possibly not being happy about this animal you took, and then posting that picture later, and then having people come on, and some of them happy for you and some of them bashing you. You just playing a game that takes the entire meaning of what we do out of it. And it goes, I could go on and on about this, because it goes for young deer to old deer. There's no way I would ever tell somebody, if they're just going out to hunt, right? You're just going out to hunt, you got your tags in your pocket. Let's say you got a buck tag and you're hunting in an area that has, for some reason, you're on public land in Uvalde, Texas, and there's 5 deer county and there's not any restrictions on it, and you got 1 buck tag. If you go out and shoot a spike, I'd be pumped for you. If you went out and shot a 2-year-old 10-point, I'd be pumped for you. And if you went out and shot a 200-inch 5-year-old, I'd be pumped for you. Because it's your tag, it's in the legal limits, and you did what made you happy on your hunt. And that's, I think, what we're starting to lose. If you're on a ranch, you own a ranch, or you're hunting with somebody and they're managing a ranch and they have criteria that says, please don't shoot deer under this age or under this score, then by all means, stay within those stipulations. Find something that makes you happy in those stipulations and do it that way. If you're not on something like that, and you have, a way of legally taking something that makes you happy, do that. But quit trying, I want to say that the word should be approval. Quit trying to gain approval from the hunting masses on if a buck is worthy enough for you to shoot it. Because they all offer something, and every one of those deer are worthy enough to be hunted. And if you're going to go hunt, then you have to, in your own heart, determine what makes the hunt for you. And at that point, kill that animal, and don't worry. It doesn't make a flip what anybody else says about that. You don't need permission to shoot a buck that somebody else might not think is a good buck. Now, I know that sounded a little like I was chewing on somebody, or maybe giving a pump-up football speech. That's not really what I was trying to do there, but I don't know. Sometimes I get on a roll. I've been told before that that my tone gets taken out of context quite a bit, or I sound arrogant or jerkish or whatever. And maybe I am. It could be that. I don't know. Maybe I'm set in my ways. I try not to be. I have a pretty open stance that I hope people would understand, is that I don't really care what anybody does. I'm happy for everybody. I love that people are getting involved in the pastime of hunting, and I think there's such an awesome nostalgia and connection with nature, and the ability to learn from each other and make great friends and awesome relationships, and the father-son connection and mother-son, mother-daughter, the family connection, the bonds that can be built around hunting is such an awesome thing that continues for lifetimes and gets passed down from generation to generation. I hate seeing it get nitpicked down to the point of having people tell other people what they should or should not shoot or pass when it comes to another person's hunt. So, I'll go ahead and apologize if somebody took me as being a jerk on that. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm actually on your side. You shoot whatever deer you want to shoot. When it makes you happy and it completes your story of that hunt, you've done the right thing, and you're doing an awesome job in my book. I sure appreciate you guys watching, or listening, I should say. I hope you don't actually watch this. Stick it on in your car and just listen to it. I'm not doing anything except for sitting here looking ugly, fidgeting. So the listening is probably way more important than the watching. Maybe one of these days I'll make another video where I'm out actually hunting. I do have some cool hunts coming up, and hopefully we'll have somebody there that can run a camera. If not, it'll be back to me and the iPhone and the old junker camera I got in the bag. But long story short, I appreciate you guys. You guys are doing awesome as far as making our channel grow. I hope this continues. Like always, if you have other topics that you would like to discuss, drop one down in the comments. I'm always looking for new information to talk on. I've got a whole bunch of stories to tell. Not sure if anybody's interested in listening to them. So if you've got something you are interested in, drop it down, and that way we can discuss that topic and interact in the comments. You guys have been doing awesome leaving comments lately, and it's a lot of fun to get in there and interact with each other. I hope to see you guys back here on the next one, which will be later on this week. If you get a chance and you haven't, please click subscribe. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, and we will see you next time on episode number 10.